Hello, Happy New Year and welcome to the monthly review for December 2014. We're coming to you today from the Hollybush here in Corn Street. My thanks to John and to Pinky for letting us film here today. Let's take a quick look at the numbers for the month of December and then see where they took us over the course of last year, which was probably one of the most positive years in property since around 2007. So December, the focus in the estate agency in December, as you'd imagine, is more about getting people into the properties in time for Christmas rather than putting new properties onto the market. People have parents with them and children coming back, and so the focus really, as I say, is more about getting people into their new homes for Christmas. But the total number of properties available in December did drop slightly for the fourth month on the trot, and we dropped from 349 in total to 322 in December. And the sold rate dropped slightly from 53% to 52%. That, of course, is the percentage of the total number of properties that are available that are currently under offer. The length of time a property was available also increased slightly this month from 15 weeks in November to 16 weeks in December. But again, as you'd expect for this time of year, nothing that's out of the ordinary. No significant changes in the property price index this month. And we ended the year really on a good positive note of around 8 to 10% growth for the year. So what changed in 2014 and what does this potentially mean to you? Well, if you take a 4-bedroom detached house on Madley Park that at the beginning of 2014 would have been, say, 450,000, that's likely to be selling now for closer to 500. A rise of some 10%, which takes you to about 50,000, which is round about 800 to 1,000 pound a week growth. It's been many years since we've seen that kind of property price appreciation over the last few years. So what does this mean to you? Well, essentially it means that the equity that you've got in your property is increasing. And when people look to move, they take the equity out of the property and put it down as a deposit on a new property. The more deposit you have, the lower the loan to value. And this means that potentially more lucrative or more advantageous interest rates could be available to you because you're a lower risk to the lender. What we've often found is that people have moved and they've taken out a slightly larger mortgage, but because they've got a more favourable interest rate, they're probably not paying much more than they were on the old mortgage. So greater equity gives you greater choice. Okay, so what's driven this surge in prices? Well, there are a number of factors at play this year, but I think there's one that all property experts will say is probably the most important, and that is the relationship between supply and demand. In 2014, we've seen lots of schemes that have been around to help the buyers, such as Help to Buy, recent changes in stamp duty, affordable home schemes, falling unemployment, higher wages, greater job security, and of course the long-term low interest rates that we've all been enjoying recently. All of these factors, of course, are all designed to help people buy properties, which is fantastic, but it does maybe put the balance between supply and demand out a little bit. But as I say, from the buyer's point of view, they're all fantastic schemes to help you buy, which creates a wonderful environment if you're thinking of selling. Okay, now no matter what sort of business you're in, to support any increase in demand, you really need to see an equal increase in supply, which in our business means more properties coming to the market. What have we seen over 2014? Well, totally the opposite really. If you look at the data on this slide here, what you'll see is the peak for this year was February, where we had an extra 51 properties available to us 2014 as opposed to 2013, which is a healthy increase. But as the months moved on, the number of properties available this year has reduced steadily, and the difference has got greater and greater, to the point where we ended up at the end of December with 84 fewer properties available to the market this year than we had last year. Well, with the stack of factors supporting the demand side and the supply side of the property remaining quite restricted, the statisticians out there would probably have you believe that we're in for another 10% growth over the coming 12 months, maybe even more. My view is, though, that with a general election coming up this year in May and the property market being the fickle beast that it can be, I think we're probably in for a very calm year in property, with rises of probably, say, 5%, but a much more enjoyable environment within which to sell and buy your new home. So, what does this mean to you? Well, I would say if you are thinking of moving, 2015 could be your year. You should by now have a bigger chunk of equity in your property than you've seen for some time. And retaining some of this can be a really useful way of paying off more expensive borrowing, like credit cards, overdrafts and bank loans. Equity is also really important in securing better borrowing rates on future mortgages for your new home. And if nothing else, it gives you the options to consider choices to make a luxurious position many of us have not enjoyed for some time. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, and if you'd like me to come and talk to you on a one-to-one basis to discuss how the recent changes in the property market may affect you and your home, please do get in touch. My details come up at the end of the video. We, as estate agents, as you'd imagine, we do gather and analyse a lot of data concerning the property market, and I'm more than happy to share this with you at a time that suits, no matter how far ahead your potential move may be. Just remains now for me to thank John and Pinky once again for letting us use the Hollybush, and thank you very much indeed for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in just a few weeks' time to discuss the January property market. Happy New Year, and thanks again for watching.